Welcome to this meeting of the Council's Cabinet, which will be webcast. So before we start, can I bring to your attention some housekeeping matters? There's no expected fire alarm test today. Therefore, if the fire alarm sounds, it will be real. And please follow the fire and emergency procedures and leave via the nearest fire exit. Can I also ask that you use your microphone when addressing the meeting and that is switched off when you're not using it, and your mobile devices, says he doing his, should be turned to silent. I'm going to move to item 1, apologies. Now, Councillor Lowry is joining us online today. He's not well enough to be here in person. Good day to you, Mark.
Good afternoon, Councillor Evans. Good afternoon, Cabinet.
No, of course, under the legislation, although Councillor Lowry is entitled to contribute to the meeting, he will not be able to vote at the end because that is specifically prohibited by legislation. It's primitive, but we have got a Tory government, so what do you expect? We'll move on now to declarations of interest. Item 2, this is. Do members have any interest to declare in respect of? No? Okay, thank you. So I will move on to item 3 on the agenda, which is minutes of the previous meeting, which you've all been circulated with. I'm going to propose that the minutes of the meeting that held on the 11th of March and the 18th of March be signed as a correct record. Is that agreed? Yes. Thank you very much. So I will now move to item 4 on the agenda. And this month we have one question from the public. And of course, this is just one of the many ways we listen to and engage with residents in Plymouth. And I've got a question to me from Mr. Mike Sheaf, who is here in person. Mike, would you please come to the desk and please read us your question.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Sir Mark Laycock, KC, chairing the inquiry into the felling of the trees in Sheffield, explains the council referred to a need for truth and reconciliation. The inquiry will be guided by that. May I please request you include this in the terms of reference for the chair of the Armada Way inquiry? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mike. Of course, the Sheffield Tree Inquiry is not comparable to the independent learning review that the council is committed to undertake. And as a consequence, the terms of reference will have an entirely different focus. When I committed to undertake an independent learning review in July 2023, as stated at the time, my intention was to focus on improvement for the future rather than blame for past actions. Inevitably, truth will form a part of the review under the terms of reference as drafted, but only in the context of learning from what has happened and now, and how that can inform improvements in processes and procedures for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair's urgent business, item number 5. I don't have any urgent business. So I'm now going to move on to item 6 on the agenda, Cabinet Appointments 2024-2025. That's been circulated to you already. I believe, yes. So there's a supplement. It came in a form of a supplement pack, and the list is circulated there. I would have one alteration that I need to make, please, in respect of item number 20, an external appointment to the Plymouth Waterfront Partnership. I would like to put Sally Hayden forward as the representative on that. and that will enable her to fulfil a portfolio role really in that respect. So if we can replace Sudan with Sally Hayden. In every other respect, the list is as circulated. So can I see all those in favour, please, of that? Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you very much indeed. We move on now to the next item, which is item number 7, Armada Way Independent Learning Review. Now, Liz Bryant, who's our Head of Legal Services and the Monitoring Officer of the Council, will introduce this report.
Thank you, Leader. Okay. Yeah. So the report itself is at pages 35 to 37 of the agenda. I'll just run you through the points for you to consider when voting on the recommendations as part of this report. As you know, back in July 23, the leader announced his commitment to conduct this review, and he set out some terms for the scope of the review. That commitment was then formalised into a court order as part of the judicial review proceedings. This was something that's important to note that the council offered to the court as part of that order, and they accepted it and amalgamated it into the order. I'll just run you very quickly through the terms of the order. So as we know, it's definitely going to be an independent learning review. The terms of reference must be approved today at this meeting and reflect the matters that the leader committed to back in July, listed at items 1 to 6. The review will be commenced immediately upon the completion of the extant court proceedings or the finalisation of the terms of reference, whichever is the soonest. Now, as we're still in the process of 2 separate sets of court proceedings, it's going to be once those court proceedings have concluded. So therefore the timings for this is a bit of an unknown at the moment, but we are looking at months rather than weeks. However, once it does start, the review must be completed within 3 months of commencement. The findings must be presented to full council, published on the council's website and made available for public inspection. I've been appointed as the commissioning officer for the review, so that means I'll be looking at suitable candidates for undertaking the review as an independent reviewer. So just to run through the terms of reference themselves are Appendix B, pages 39 to 41. And some important points to note from that. So whilst today you'll agree the terms of reference, there will be an opportunity for the independent chair to review those and to make agreed amendments prior to commencing the review itself. The terms of reference deal with the principles and purpose of the review, the issues that will be considered as per the court order, and the way in which the review itself is conducted. In terms of the conduct of the review, it's proposed that an independent chair will lead the review, someone with suitable local government expertise, and they will be supported by advisors possessing legal and environmental regeneration and planning expertise. So it's hoped that we'll have 3 panel members as part of the review, but the chair will lead those panel members. The review itself will be supported by a PCC administrative officer, and there will be a panel of officer advisors chaired by myself who will support the review. We'll be looking for officers who've had no previous involvement with the Armada Way scheme. In terms of engagement, it's expected that the review will want to speak to officers, members, and then there will be stakeholder engagement by means of seeking written representations from members of the public, which will be focused on the terms of reference. Interviews with officers and members will be private discussions, and they will be identified following a review of the documentation by the chair. I will be seeking CVs from suitably qualified professionals, generally ex-professionals of local government, to establish suitable chair and panel members. And it should be noted that the panel members will be remunerated for undertaking this work. At the end of the review, a draft report will be produced. Any of the officers and members who have been interviewed as part of the review will have the opportunity to review the transcripts of their interviews to ensure factual correctness, and that will be taken into account prior to the report being finalised. And as I've said, once the report's finalised, it will be presented to full council and then published on the council's website. Those are the key points for you to note. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any further questions before agreeing the recommendations.
Thanks very much, Liz. Anybody want to ask anything? Tom?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Liz. One of the things that I've certainly heard over recent months is people do want lessons to be learnt, for sure, and they also want progress to be made in the city centre, and so the timing of that certainly comes up. I just wanted to make sure there's been some misunderstandings around the timing of it. So I just wanted to draw people's attention to one particular sentence on the first page of the Learning Review Cabinet Briefing Report, where it talks about the date of commencement of the Independent Learning Review. I was just wondering, for the sake of public clarification, whether you can a little bit more detail around the factors that are impacting when that can start in the future.
Okay. The wording in the report is directly extracted from the court order. So the review must commence immediately once the outstanding court proceedings have been completed. Now, there are two sets of proceedings. The contempt of court proceedings in terms of the injunction, and the application for permission to appeal against the judicial review outcome. It's very difficult to know how long those will take, and that the last item, the judicial review appeal, that's very much dependent on whether they are granted permission to appeal or not. If granted permission, obviously that's going to take a lot longer, and that could really extend the time frame. So at the moment, I imagine we're looking at least 3 months before these proceedings are completed, but it's very difficult because we're guided by the court, and the court are under huge pressure with backlog of cases, so it could take longer than that, possibly. Does that help?
Thank you. Any other questions at all? Okay. Right, so thank you, Liz. So there are a number of recommendations that have been that we've got to look at today, and they're laid out on page 31. But for those of you who don't have page 31 available to you, I'll read them out. So it's that the terms of reference included in Appendix 1 are approved to ensure compliance with the requirements of the order of the High Court of the 25th of March 2024. That's the court order, which states terms of reference for the review will be approved at a meeting of Cabinet scheduled for 20th of May 2024, which is the reason we've had this emergency Cabinet meeting today. Second one is that the monitoring officer proceeds with the commissioning of an independent chair and ILR members to conduct the ILR, which will identify suitably independent candidates to fulfil the roles required to conduct the ILR. This will ensure that the ILR is conducted by individuals who have the relevant expertise and are independent of Plymouth City Council, and will ensure further compliance with the court order, which states the commissioning officer for the review will be the defendant's head of legal services and monitoring officer, Liz Bryant. So you're actually named, so you can't wriggle out of it, right? Okay, that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'll put both of those recommendations to you. So can I see all those in favour to please show? Thank you. None against? Thank you. Okay, carried. Thank you very much indeed. Now, obviously, with this expanding horizon of timescale, as Tom, in your answer to Tom's question, that we do not know when this will commence. Do you anticipate there being any problems for you in trying to find a suitably qualified person who may have, at the drop of a hat, have to be ready to do an ILR? Because we don't know when we can start the ILR, do we?
It will certainly add a challenge to people don't know what their availability, so they can only commit in principle to be able to take part.
So as we stand, it's fair to say that not only do we know what day it will start, we don't know what month it would start or even what year it will start.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's the challenge there. So bear that in mind when people are asking, where's the ILR and why haven't you found anybody to do it yet? I think these are important to recognise the fluidity of the situation. Okay, so thank you. Thanks everybody for attending. That would appear to be the end of our meeting today, unless I've missed something. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you all again fairly soon. Thank you.